educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. I have a very, very special guest for you today. He began his journey in intellectual property with a pursuit to protect his father's intellectual property back in 1996. And then after winning that case, he pursued a career as a lawyer as he began working for the world's largest international law firm with clients such as Apple, Google, Porsche, and Microsoft, just to name a few. So after he moved from Canada and Russia to Russia in 2007, he went through 3 more years of law school and received his Canadian lawyer and trademark agent licenses. So if you could kind of get an idea what we're going to talk about today, we'll work on that. So in 2011, he was inspired by Robert, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All of us have been at one point in time. We've heard it. We've heard the story. We know the idea. And so this gentleman embodies that idea. So in 2013, after seeing the opportunity to offer something unique, he decided to revolutionize trademarking services by having one flat fee. And those of us who have started the process understand that, hey, some companies do 2, 3, 4 different types of payments. And so he has made it so there's one flat fee. And I thank you for listening today. And I introduce to you Andrei Mincov. Andrei, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be on your show.
Thanks a lot, man. So we're talking about trademarking, right? Our product, our name, whatever it might be. And for those of us that feel like we are entrepreneurs, sometimes we want to hold on to things. We want to do things ourselves. We sometimes, especially if we're just starting off, we want to be independent, right? And so why will we even consider talking to someone like yourself to begin with about the trademarking process?
Well, you certainly don't have to. In most countries, you are allowed as a brand owner to file your own trademark. In the US, you are required to have an attorney if you're not a US resident. But if you are a US resident, you can file your own trademarks. So you can certainly do that. And I would encourage you to consider that with one condition, if you don't really care about the result.
Good point.
Because by the USPTO statistics and its United States Patent and Trademarks Office, they're the entity that takes care of patents and trademarks in the US. But their own statistics, 81% of trademark applications filed by self-represented applicants get rejected. So 19%, if you're 1 out of 5, if you're lucky, maybe. And here's the thing, because the bigger problem with trademarks is not that it's a small chance of it going through, because I mean, you file your trademark, you're safe on the service. If you were to get the answer right away, you could probably get away with it. The bigger problem is that it takes a long time. It takes about 9 months in the US right now. It takes 4 years in Canada before you even hear back from them.
Wow.
So what are you going to do during that time? You're probably going to go out there and try to promote your brand and try to grow your brand and try to get people to know you under that brand.
Right.
And so you think, well, I filed the trademark, right? And then 9 months later, you get this rejection. And then what? So that's really the bigger reason to not do it yourself. Again, if you care about the result. If you don't care about the result, if you love the process, if you love solving puzzles, if you love wading through confusing government forms, if you love, playing lottery with your brand, that's a great opportunity to do that. And look, here's I'm kind of being a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, but seriously, everyone who is smart enough to run a successful business, they're probably smart enough to do their own trademarks, right? You can probably pick up a book and learn how to do it right. right? You can probably increase that chance from a 19% to something significantly higher. But is that really what you should be focusing as an entrepreneur? Like the overall statistics in the US, again, so this 81 versus 19% statistic, that's the initial rejections. But after you get this initial rejection, that's called an office action, right? You respond to it. Usually that's when you start hiring lawyers to start paying them by the hour to fix your trademark application. And that's how your cheap trademark file can easily become $5,000, $10,000 nightmare. But after all of this said and done, their overall statistics that only 51.7% of trademarks, all of them, including filed by individuals and including filed by those through the most expensive law firms out there, only half of them make it through. That's not a great statistic.
Right.
So, and that was really, to me, the biggest reason why I wanted to start Trademark Factory, because I know that brand owners have no idea about the trademarking process. They have no idea about all and they don't want to know, right? They think that, hey, I came up with a brand, I filled out the form, I'm going to own it. And turns out that, the answer is not really, not always. And so I wanted to present a very clear and simple way for them to be confident that they have someone who has the same interest as theirs, which is where the one flat fee and 100% money back guarantee came from, right? And it only works in tandem. I know in the intro you only mentioned the flat fee. The guarantee is another big chunk of the big piece of that puzzle. Because think about this. Like there's really, well, 4 ways you can get a trademark done. 1, you can do it yourself, like we talked about this. 2, you can use one of those, fake cheap websites. You can Google probably get like 5 dozen of them. Get a trademark for $47 or whatever, right? And that's basically the same thing. What they do is they eliminate the need for you to fill out the long form on the website. Like they simplify the filing process, but you are your own applicant. They're not pretending to be an attorney of record. Okay, so that's the second option. The third option is going through a traditional law firm, and the fourth option is going with what we offer, guaranteed result for a guaranteed budget. Now, if you go with the cheap or the law firm route, they have no interest in filing a perfect trademark application that's going to go through smoothly and quickly. Here's why. Law firms make all the money fixing applications, responding to those office actions.
Right.
The cheap websites, they don't care at all because their responsibility ends with the filing of your application, right? When you get an office action, they can probably refer you to a law firm that's going to help. But with us, if I can file your trademark application and it goes through without any issues, I have a really good margin because I have a flat fee. So whatever we don't spend on attorneys to do this back and forth, I keep as a company. Right. And if your trademark doesn't go through, you get all your money back. I don't want that. And if we file a flawed trademark application that we have to spend 10, 20, 30, 50 hours on attorneys that we pay to respond, like I'm starting to lose money on you. I don't want this. So this year, say our interests are fully aligned because the brand owner wants what? Quick and easy registered trademark. That's what that's why I thought that this was kind of a very interesting proposition. And the reason I love the name of your podcast so much is that when I came up with this idea of Trademark Factory, the very first thing I did was like literally a week after I launched the website, and after I came up with the idea and launched the website, I flew to what's called International Trademark Association meeting in Dallas, 2013.
Okay.
If you can imagine a room with 11,000 trademark attorneys, one room, 11,000 trademark attorneys from all over the world. Right? That's what it is.
Wow.
Right? And I personally mingled with a few hundred people. And I told them, hey, I came up with this new model. everyone told me I was nuts, that this would never work,
Right, right.
right? And everyone, like, not a single person told me that this was possible. Not a single person said it was a good idea. Everyone said, well, what about the office actions? How are you going to respond? What if it's complicated? And I listened to that and I'm like, perfect. That was like music to my ears, because I knew that if these guys are not going to replicate my model, I have enough buffer time
Right.
to build a business, to build my brand into something that will become a big enough player in the market, so that by the time they start catching up, I will have already been established. So that will never work like spoke to me in the
Nice,
name of
nice,
your
nice.
podcast. And yeah.
So let me ask you this then. So let's say I'm just starting out and I don't know really what I want to do 100%. So really, what should I trademark? Because we have That'll Never Work podcast or whatever else I might have going on, just using me as an example. What should I
Yeah.
trademark if I have a clothing line, the podcast, a consulting firm? What part should I trademark? Because I don't know which one I want to start off with first.
Right. So look, in the perfect world, you would have an unlimited budget and you would trademark everything. Realistically speaking, in my almost 30-year career as a lawyer, I've yet to meet a client with an unlimited budget. Like, and you mentioned, a few of those billion-dollar companies,
Right.
they still have limited budgets,
Right.
right? Because they're businesses.
Right.
They're not like, they don't live with the one thought of how do we spend more money on lawyers, right? So the proper way to approach this is to ask yourself a simple question: which of these branding assets it would hurt me the most if it got stolen from me? And it's never a nice conversation, but really, trademarks primarily, well, there's kind of three big functions of a trademark, right? The one that's the most important one is for you to not have your brand stolen from you. Is to not be forced out of your own brand by someone who just goes out there, runs to the trademarks office before you do, and claims that what you thought was your brand is actually theirs. So if you go file a trademark first, that you're protected from that. The second function is to give you an opportunity to go and fight the copycats, right? That's usually second reason people go and get their trademarks done. Because a lot of people say, well, we're peaceful, like we don't want any trouble, we don't want to, go and sue everybody.
Right.
But you still want to make sure that you don't end up on the receiving end, right? Which is the third reason people get trademarks is the valuation, right? It's just an asset. The trademark is an asset, and the more valuable your brand becomes, it can only do so if you own it. Like one of my well, I can give you a few examples. Nike, right? Nike's a great example. The valuation of the whole thing, of the whole company, like everything, is $96 billion. The brand is 47 out of that. Not the sneakers, not the shirts, not the factories, not the employees, not nothing. Not the design, just the brand, the word and the swoosh and the just do it. More than half the company, right? And that's why you can get a blank white shirt that's going to cost you $50. Put a swoosh in it and sell it for 20, like this.
Right.
It's because they own the brand.
Right.
But what was the question again?
What should I brand? What should I put out there? And
yeah. So you start. But again, like it's really all. Most of trademarking is fear based, right? How do I not get ripped off?
Right.
And so you ask yourself the question of all of these: the name of the podcast, the name of the consulting firm, the logo for the consulting. Maybe you have a tagline for the consulting firm. Maybe you run a side hustle doing something, right? So you ask yourself a question: if all of this is stolen from me,
Mm-hmm.
Like I get a big letter from a law firm that says you can do this. You can do
Right.
nothing.
Right.
Which of this would cause you the most pain?
Mm-hmm.
And then what would be the second? What would be the third? And you're going to have a list,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so, when I said in a perfect world, right, you'd have an unlimited budget and all of your brands are trademarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Because not all brands are trademarkable. So what
Mm-hmm.
you do is you first put them in order of importance to you
Mm-hmm.
if they're trademarkable, and then you would get someone to confirm whether or not they are trademarkable. That's kind of the
Mm.
big secret sauce behind our success.
Okay.
Because remember I said 51.7, the
Right.
average?
Right.
The trademark factory is 99.3.
Mm.
Because
Hmm.
we don't want to file trademarks that have no chance of going through.
Right.
Because
Right.
makes zero sense to us, makes zero sense to you, right? And so because what would you? Like,
Right.
why would you waste a year waiting for us to tell you, oh, you know what, your trademark didn't go through?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, and so you got the first list, then you take off that list the
Mm-hmm.
brands that are not trademarkable. Maybe you came up with a name that's already taken by somebody. Maybe you
Right.
came up with a name that's generic. Maybe you came up
Mm-hmm.
with a name that's deceptive. Like there's billion things that the trademarks office looks at
Mm-hmm.
to establish whether they're going to approve your trademark application.
Right.
And so that's how I would start. But the first question is, which would I hate to lose the most?
So I listened to some other podcasts and things that you were on. You talked about when, you know, because in your example, which I thought was very interesting, was like Uber. When they started, before they even really launched all the way out. Sometimes some of
Yeah.
us are not in that forward thinking space. So when would you recommend for someone to even consider that this trademark process?
You ask yourself a question, what am I building? Am I building a business? Or am I just, enjoying the process?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a side hustle? Is this a hobby? Or am I
Mm.
really invested in doing whatever it takes to build a business that's going to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
If you are fully committed to building a business that's going to succeed, you have to do it day one.
Mm-hmm.
If you are still trying to figure out whether or not it's going to be something that you'd end up doing,
Mm-hmm.
and again, there's nothing wrong with that,
Right,
right? I'm
right.
not saying that every single person out there should be Gary V, work 27 hours a day, wake up 3 hours earlier and start working again, right? It's not for everybody.
Right.
So if your choice is, slowly try to figure this out, then you probably should do it day one.
Mm-hmm.
But you should
Mm-hmm.
do it on the day when you realize this might actually become a business.
Right.
You want to be the first person in line who realizes there's some value to the brand you're building, right? And so here's kind of a chart almost. I'm going to show you a chart with my hand. Like there's the moment when you come up with a name
Mm-hmm.
or the logo, or the tagline, right? It's still in your head. Right?
Right.
That second, that's when you came up with that will never work
Mm-hmm.
with that wonderful spelling, right? So there was a moment in time when you realized that's a cool name.
Yes.
There's something about that name that speaks to you, that you think is going to speak to your customers,
Mm-hmm.
that you want to be known for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That second, the actual value of your brand is zero
Mm-hmm.
because nobody knows it.
Right.
You do.
Right.
There's a lot of potential, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but the actual value is zero, zilch. Also, at that very moment, your brand is the most trademarkable it will ever be.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if it was trademarkable to begin with, it only goes downhill from there. And so what happens as you start promoting the brand, you should start going out there, doing the networking events, giving out business cards, setting up social media profiles, putting out Instagram, reels, and doing these shows, getting more
Right.
guests, trying to promote this. So what happens is the value of the brand goes up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the registrability goes down.
Hmm.
And at some point, this gap becomes so big
Mm-hmm.
that you realize that you've spent all this time building somebody else's brand.
Mm.
So that's really that's really what the painful part about this is that once you realize that, hey, this might be a business,
Mm-hmm.
going I usually offer kind of a two-question framework around this. Um, First question you ask yourself is it likely that I will still be selling products or services under this brand 2, 3 years from now?
Hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
the business is successful. If the business is successful, will I still be selling 2, 3 years from now?
Hmm.
Because for some brands are really short-lived.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You're
they're
right. You're
deliberately
right.
short-lived. But most entrepreneurs think, hey, nobody starts a business expecting to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But so the question is, if this is successful, will the brand still be out there? If the answer is yes, then the second question is you ask yourself is, will the brand become valuable to the success of the business?
Hmm.
Will it become more valuable with time? And if the answer to that is no, like the brand is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I don't know. Let's say you're an accountant,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're a one man or one woman show. You're a CPA. You're doing people's taxes,
Right.
right? You came up
Right.
with a cute name for your accounting. I don't know, Rainbow and Lollipops Accounting, right? And you came up with a logo, and you came up with a tagline, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you would probably still say to yourself, the name will be important.
Mm-hmm.
The logo, probably not so much, because how are people going to recognize that logo? What's the logo
Right.
going to do for you,
Right.
really? Right? Like for H&R Block, it's massively important because they have offices all over the
Mm-hmm.
place. They're franchising, right? Everyone sees that green square and they're like, oh yeah.
Right.
But for a one woman show, one man show, the logo in the accounting space not so
Mm-hmm.
important,
Mm-hmm.
right? But so that's kind of the two-question framework. Will I still have it? Will it be valuable?
Hmm.
And if the answer to both is yes, I would say go out there and trademark it as soon as you can.
Andrei, I thank you, man, for coming on, man. I thank you for these nuggets. Now, let me ask you this last question. Where
Mhm.
can someone reach out to you where they can save time, money, and stress trademarking their brand? Where can they find you?
So they can find me two places. One, if you're ready to have a conversation, serious conversation about protecting your brand, just go to trademarkfactory.com and you'll see a big button on the website that's going to tell you to request a free call with one of our strategy advisors.
Mm-hmm.
What they actually do, one of the things that they do in that conversation is they help you prioritize which should go first,
Mm.
which should go second by asking all of these important questions. So that if you're all over the place and I got this and I got that and I got this and I only have a small budget,
Right.
they can help you figure out what to start with, where to start with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's avenue number one. Just go to trademarkfactory.com and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
The second avenue is we have a YouTube channel with over 1,000 videos that I posted
Mm-hmm.
on trademarks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any question about trademarks, I guarantee that I've answered that question probably more than once. So, and that obviously costs you nothing. You can
Mm-hmm.
spend a few weeks going through all my videos.
Right. Right.
If that's what you want to do. But I mean, seriously, there's some good educational stuff there if you want to
Mm-hmm.
learn more. What we've noticed is that the success of your trademark application is directly related to whether you understand the process or
Mm-hmm.
not. If you're just like, hey, I'm a brand owner, just go get my trademark, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have anything to do with that. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to provide any, evidence of use. I'm not going to
Mm.
spend any thought on what goods and services should go to my trademark application. Chances are your trademark is probably going to get rejected.
Mm-hmm.
If you're actually at least understand what we're trying to do,
Right.
then you're going to be in that 99.3%.
Wow, thank you, man. I appreciate it. All these things. It's funny because I just started. I'm going through that process now of getting things trademarked. And I'm in a pending space. It should be. There's a few things that should be done about mid this year. So so like he said, everyone, that is a long process, and you have to be on top of. You have to understand what you got going on. I appreciate it. But before I let you go, though, my would you rather question, right? I ask everybody, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
What kind of question is that?
It can be something that's inquisitive, analytical, just to kind of get us a little peek into your mind a little bit, how you operate.
3 doors or a fork in the road?
Now,
3
understand,
doors.
I did not give any parameters either. So you're saying 3 doors.
3 doors.
And so why 3 doors?
I love the surprise of a closed door,
Okay.
where as opposed to a fork in the road, you sort of see that there's, where they're going, even though you don't understand where they're going to end up.
Right.
I love the suspense. I love the immediate gratification of opening the door and seeing what's behind it.
Okay. It's funny because most recently people have been wanting the doors. They've been wanting more options. When I've been asking this question for about 3 years now, and for a long time, a lot of people were picking a fork in the road because they wanted to peek, they want to see their road less traveled, things like that. But most recently, it's been more doors, more options.
Interesting. Yeah, to me, it's not about the number of doors. To me, it's just, patience is not my biggest virtue. So I'd rather see, I'd rather be disappointed right away.
Okay.
And pivot from there than walk a road for 10 years,
right?
Only then to realize that whoops,
right.
It was a wrong one,
right?
But it looked great initially, right? So I'd much rather fail quickly, or even better, succeed quickly.
Nice.
So both to me are better options than picking something and finding out later.
Cool.
I guess that's another reason why I created Trademark Factory, because I wanted to save people from the agony of not knowing what's going to happen to them.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Cool, man. I appreciate you answering the question, man. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you for listening to That Will Never Work podcast.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?